Today, I'm honored here to share how I leverage AI for UX research. First, a little bit about myself. I came from a psychology background. I had a bachelor's degree in applied psychology and then master's in human-computer interaction. So naturally, after graduation, I became a UX researcher. I started my career, I worked at Google for about 2 years on Android Auto and as a contractor. And after the contract, I joined Cisco around, I think, 2022. And yeah, since then, I've been a UX researcher at Cisco. So like Xiran mentioned, I work on IT, employee IT experience. So I work at employees' day-to-day life and see how they can integrate AI naturally into their work flow and yeah, lift any friction and improve productivity. So about this presentation, this talk, I hope everyone can have some takeaways or answers around these main three questions. First is how much human involvement is needed when using AI in UX research. So what's my consideration behind it? How do we think about how much AI I need to use in the process? And then second is how AI supports different stages of the UX research process. So hopefully you can have some practical takeaways here and know what to do in your actual own research process. And then lastly, what to consider when using AI for UX research. So how to use AI responsibly and effectively. So without further ado, so let's start with the first question. How much human involvement is needed when using AI in UX research? So since you're joining this talk, I would assume everyone agree that you want to use AI and you agree that AI is powerful, it can be used in your work. But also at this point, I would assume everyone knows that you can't trust AI 100%. Human needs to be always be involved in the loop. So now since you agree we are using AI and we agree human needs to be involved, so the question here is how AI and human collaborate. So when I plan things on what I consider is here. So this is what in my mind. I know it's a lot of information here, so I'll break it down one by one. So here we have degree of automation. So that is how much AI you want to involve in your UX research process. So I very roughly break it down by 3 stages. So on the very left side, we have more human-heavy approach. So things like so human leads, human owns, human creates things, and then AI just assists and speed up the process. And then in the middle, there's 50-50. So maybe AI proposes UX research suggestions, and then human decides what approach you're actually using. And then on the right side, maybe we have more AI heavy approach. So actually things like AI agents, AI moderator. So AI has more control, but again, human always in the loop. So even in this case, human reviews here and there. So now we have different degree, a different level of AI involvement, but how much AI needs to be involved, where you put yourself in this scale. So I have 6 factors that I consider. If you look at the initial of 6 factors, it's SAFTY, safety. I hope that helps you remember it. And also kudo to AI. I give it 6 factors and ask it to reorder it to make the initial make sense. And then it did a good job. So yeah, here we can go through this safety model quickly. Start with S, which is research stage. Oh wait, let's back up a little bit. So how I use it. So when I think about how much AI I want to involve, I always start with on the left side of the scale. So I always start from the human-heavy, human-centered, human oriented kind of approach. And then I'll go through the factors. The more factors on the right side, then I will consider dial up AI involvement more accordingly. So that's how I use it. And then, yeah, so let's go back to the scale and the model, and we can go through the factors together. So first is research stage, so where you are in your research cycle. So there are different stages. If you are in a step where your research findings will inform important decision making, you're valid some compare design A, design B, or valid an important design, definitely you want human to guide the process. I want to be more human heavy. And then concept refinement. So concept testing, you're testing that idea. So that also you also want it to be more human leads. But on the right side, if it's more early exploration, so it's more early, very early stage in your research process, you are maybe just exploring new ideas, or you're looking at a very large scale of user, you're just trying to find some early patterns, then it's more safe to use AI compared to decision-making information. And then lastly is ongoing tracking. So if it's a more stable product, you are just using study to benchmarking or track their performance, then again, AI might be more safer in this situation. So rest of it, I would say is relatively more straightforward. I'll just quickly go through the other factors, but please feel free to leave your questions and we'll answer it at the end. So for ambiguity, straightforward. So if it's a very ambiguous area, you have no idea what you're exploring, you have no expectation what you're gonna get from your study, then human leads. And then if it's a well-defined problem, you know what you're trying to figure out, AI, because you have more information, so it has a better chance AI can do a better job not better job than human, but better job than other situation. And then frequency and impact, yeah, if it's a high risk, which means high impact, high frequency, a lot of user using it, user critical, more human leads, and then low impact, low frequency, non-critical, AI safer in this situation. And then time pressure, if you have a lot of time, definitely do human research. But if it's a tight timeline, there's no chance you can push it back, then I would say some data is better than no data. And maybe you can use AI with cautious. And then evidence quality. So that means data quality. So if your data sample, they are sparse, biased, or you have noisy data. So for example, I only have access to 3 power user, and I can only get data from that 3 user. Also because they're power users, they're biased. So in this case, you may want human to be involved so that they can make more sense of the data with the limited data that you have. And then on the right side, if it's representative, structured, consistent, large scale, AI may be able to do it. And then lastly, your users. So underserved users. So if you have user with disability or have trust concerns or sensitive contacts, definitely have human to moderate the session. And then on the other side, if it's more general use cases, then maybe AI can help you get the data. So last slide, we were talking about when to consider using more AI, and now we're talking more about, why this goes back? Okay, yeah. So last slide, we talk about the model tells you when to use more AI versus when to use more human. And now, next, we're gonna talk about like how you're gonna have AI and human collaborate in different research process. Here I have an overview of how I use AI in each step of research process. And this is just an overview. I'll break it down one by one in the next slides. But here I also included the tools that I used. For example, Gemini, ChatGPT, Maze, Dovetail. But just to note that these tools, I only use these tools because these are available for me. Unfortunately, I haven't done any comprehensive comparison between the tools, so I can't give a good suggestion, but at least these tools, they work for me right now. So yeah, you can take a screenshot if you want, but we have more details in the later slides. So start from research planning. So in general, in the research planning step, AI is good for create an initial research plan draft. So it can give you a very quick start so that you can get unstuck quickly and have something to work on and move faster. And then it's good for suggest potential research objectives based on the context that you give it. And it also on top of that, it can generate potential research questions for you to scope down and then list out possible research methods. And for the research methods, it can also compare pros and cons so that you can choose the best one, especially if you are not familiar with research. I think you would want it to give you more information for you to choose the best research method here. And then if you already have a research plan, then it can help you identify the gaps or blind spots in early planning. So these are the general practices, but I want to add more details to it. So let's put it back into the model that we had. So on this degree of automation, we have two examples. On the left side, it is more heavy, human heavy approach, and on the right side is more AI heavy approach. So we can compare here. So for the more human heavy approach, so again, if you remember the model, so the example here is if you are doing a project that gonna affect very important decision making, and it can also affect core workflow or many users, so it's high risk project, then you may want to have more human involved in this research process. And for the research planning, so human also, yeah, for example, it has high ambiguity. So like stakeholder doesn't even know what they want to do. They just have this idea. Then in this case, you want human to involve more to clarify and then define the research objectives, decide methods, and even design interview and survey questions by themselves. But again, in this case, AI can still support. So it can review the drafts as a second opinion. And it can also help you close some gaps to surface any missing questions and help you, definitely proofreading and help you structure or make the flow better. So moving on to the right side. So again, with the model, so for example, if you are conducting an early stage exploration, you want to interview maybe a large scale of people, a lot of user to find some patterns, like initial patterns, so that you can dive deeper later, or answer a non-critical question. Then in this case, maybe you can rely on AI. So in this case, humans' role is provide detailed research context at the beginning, so AI can work on it. And then you definitely want to define some guardrails or give it some guidelines. And then definitely human needs to review the outputs. And for AI, here I'm using AI moderator as an example. So for AI moderator, at least the AI moderator that I used, it can, so based on the context that you gave it upfront, it will generate a whole plan for you, and it will even generate the questions dynamically during the session. And during the session, based on users' responses, it will also come up with follow-up questions dynamically. So I know a lot of people are interested in AI moderator, but maybe don't have chance to use it yet. So for my team, I have the privilege to use May's AI moderator. So here is how that works. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, so as a human, you would give in the system you would need to give it context. So for Maze, it collects research focus, and you also need to describe your company. And for the product or feature you work on, you need to give it like a lot of the background information, like for example, what's the previous version and what is the new things that you are trying to ask for. And then lastly is assumptions, hypotheses, or open questions. So based on all these information, and it will automatically generate a research plan. which is the second screenshot here. So for maze, you can have 5 research goals in one study at most. But yeah, so it will automatically came up research goal for you, and you can make edits based on your review. And so if you don't specify interview questions, there's no way you can see what AI will ask in that user session. You have to trust the AI. So that's why you need to give a very detailed, very well structured context so that the AI can dynamically come up with questions in the session. But if you want to make sure they ask specific questions, then you can, in this section, you can specify interview questions under each goal. And then after you create everything, so as a participant, they will be able to see this interface on the right side. So they also have a closed captioning to show what AI is talking about. So that's AI moderator. But so we talked about both human heavy and AI heavy, but in research planning, either way, context is non-negotiable. Here on the screen, I have a list of questions. So these are the questions I would ask as a researcher when I go into a stakeholder kickoff meeting. So these are the information as a researcher I need to create a good research plan. So now you're using AI to create research plan. AI needs this. I would say AI needs the same set of information. So yeah, this can be a good start. Try to answer as many questions as possible here, and then feed that into AI. Moving on to AI for recruitment. So yeah, also pretty straightforward. For recruitment, AI can define participant criteria based on the research plan or the context that you gave, and then it can help you prepare materials such as recruitment emails, screeners, and then now we have MCP survey, AI agents, so a lot of it can help you support scheduling and send reminders on your behalf. So I don't really have a lot of suggestions here, but this is the best practices for recruitment messages on my own experience. So if you want AI to draft recruitment messages for you, you can consider use this. And yeah, just give it more guidance and maybe it can come up with a better outcome. So, but again, this is my personal experience. So AI for conducting research. So by saying conducting research, for me, it's more qualitative research. In those kind of sessions or data collection process, AI is good for note-taking and documentation, and then it's good for helping you collect data on a larger scale. So again, put this back into the model that we have. We have more human-heavy approach. So on the left side, the example can be now you're looking at a high ambiguity project with underserved user, maybe user with disability. So you maybe have no idea what their needs are. You don't even know what to expect from the user sessions. And then in this case, even let's say it's an early stage project, you're doing exploration, I would say it's still safer or more valuable if you do it yourself to have more human leads approach. And so in this case, human leads the sessions and adapt in real time, respond to nuance, emotions, and unexpected signals. And also as a researcher, what we do is, we actively take notes and do some like basic analysis, evolve themes during the sessions. So in this case, AI is a supporting role, so they can help you with transcription and backup note-taking to help researcher reduce cognitive load. But no interpreting meaning. So usually researcher came up with the themes and AI would as a second annotator to suggest. So on the right side, we have examples. So for example, you're doing working on the more stable products, and you maybe have very well-defined research goals. Stakeholders are very clear what they want to seek, what kind of answers or areas that they want to seek for. And then maybe the user are just general user. So in this case, you can hand it over to AI. And then in this case, human just need to make, again, very clear, detailed context, define goals, guardrails, and success criteria upfront, and then monitor data quality and participant experience over time. I also want to use AI moderator in this case. So AI moderator can run the sessions and ask follow-up questions and collect because it's larger scale, it can collect structured and verbal feedback at scale. So since we talk about AI moderator a lot, here I also summarize the pros and cons from my own experience. So I personally like using AI moderator, but I use it as an upgrade of traditional unmoderated interviews. So AI moderators, they can, different from the traditional unmoderated interview, the good thing is, it can ask very dynamic follow-up questions. And based on my experience, they actually ask very good quality questions. So for example, users say, oh, it is the screen is nice or the page is nice. They would actually dig deeper and ask what is nice or why do you say that, something like that. And moving forward, so larger scale with speed. So of course, because it's AI doing that, so it's much faster than human. And localization. So this is actually interesting because for my own study, I have participants from Germany, and they voluntarily use German AI in my study. And then they really like the interaction with AI that speaks their own language. And they say it was a natural experience for them. So it's good for localization. And also as a researcher, I don't need to worry about different time zone. And lastly is consistency, because it's a moderate study. So everything is structured. So you can easier compare across the data. So, but there are definitely a lot of cons, and I want everyone to keep that in mind. So first is usability testing limitation. So at least for Maze, they don't have the capability to do usability testing with AI moderator. And I believe it's true for other platforms as well. So because, it's hard for AI to process video. And for usability testing, for example, you need task completion rate, and it has to be human that document whether they success or not. So like as workaround, you may be able to add a survey question at the end to ask user to maybe self-report their task completion. But again, it might be not as accurate as human lead usability testing session. And then it's flexibility. So from my experience, because like I mentioned, you need to give it as much context as possible. But if you want to specify interview questions, it is not as flexible as human moderator for sure. So for example, some participants, they may already mention some answers during the last question, but because you specified this interview question in the later part, they will repeat it. So sometimes it will feel repetitive for users. And then empathy and nuance, definitely AI is not showing as much empathy as human researcher. And then insight quality, so it's not as rich as the themes they've came up with is not as deep as human researcher. And then lastly, last two, I think it's kind of interesting. So participant bias. So I would think for people who agree AI moderator to interview you, they have somehow like more positive attitudes towards AI, and then that can translate into more bias, introduce more bias, some kind of bias into the data set. So depend on what kind of product that you're looking at. So for example, maybe you are actually looking at an AI product and you ask AI to do the study. And then, for your user, they all have positive attitude towards AI. And then lastly is negative perceptions. For negative perceptions, I actually heard user talking about um, maybe they already have some struggle with the platform and they're trying to find a human to complain or to share their feedback, but they only receive a robot, and that kind of introduce negative feeling to the user. And now moving on to AI for analysis. So here I have a sentence. So when you look at the words, I could do this forever. Is that negative or is that positive? So you can actually see it both ways. It depends on the tone, the context. So it can be positive. It can say, oh, I enjoy it. I can do this forever. Or it can be just painful, tedious process. Oh, this takes me forever. I could do this forever. So the point is AI during the analysis process. Again, this is more about qualitative in data analysis. So AI can be good for meta search. So if you have a big database repository, it can help you find the exact information that you need more faster. And it can do meta search compared to the regular keyword search. And then again, it can do quickly analyze a big set of data on a larger scale. However, because of the limitation in terms of analyzing tone, analyzing body language, and those nuance, so human oversight is always required here. And also, reserve meaning making for humans. So put this back to our model. So on the left side, if it's high ambiguity, noisy data for high impact decision making, in this case, you want human to interpret the nuance between beyond words and then synthesize across the themes and then sessions and own final insights and recommendations. You want human to create things first, and then AI act as a second annotator. So AI ensure no key themes, quotes, or signals are missing, and then on top of that, because of the meta search. So if you want to, as a researcher, you have like a specific information that you want to search. So maybe I want to find some people said certain word, then AI can quickly help you extract those specific details for reference. And then on the right side, this time, I'm not sure if you noticed, it's no longer AI does human reviews. I feel like for the analysis process, the furthest you can go is AI proposes, human decides. In this case, AI generated initial themes for fast sense making. So instead of humans start the analysis or come up with themes, AI give you a quick start, and then it can also by surfacing recurring patterns, prioritize themes by frequency across the sessions. It can help you prioritize. So, and human in this case, you review, refine, and add themes if needed, and then validate the relevance and accuracy based on the referencing, and then decide which themes matter and make sense of it in the report. So for our team, for me, I use Dovetail, and here is an example how I use Dovetail to in this AI proposes human decide approach. So in Dovetail, if you upload all your interview sessions, interview recording, for each recording, it will automatically generate a list of highlights. And then you can review those highlights and say accept or decline, depending on whether you think it's important. And then after you have all the highlights, as a human, you can review the highlights and manually assign themes to it. And then, yeah, in this case, yeah, you can also see like it can categorize based on the theme that you put in. It can also smartly add new video or new clips into the respective themes. So, and then they also have this Ask AI feature. So, for example, here I was asking, yeah, who mentioned about unclear value proposition? And then it will tell me, yeah, this person mentioned this, and it will link me to the exact video clip. And then it will also have a summary of what they expressed. So yeah, it's a very cool, quick way for me to make find information and make sense of the information. And so last step is AI for reporting. And I know there are a lot of tools out there that can automatically generate PowerPoint. At least for me, I haven't found anything that works for me. So instead of having AI generated, I feel like it saves more time. I just created myself. So for me, for reporting, I always have human-led storytelling and judgment. So I would start with my own own themes, what I think is important to communicate to stakeholders, what I want to highlight, what I want to hide, and then ask AI to maybe make sense of it, and then proofread and simplify the report for me. And then also, yeah, it's pretty handy that I'm not sure how you do key executive summary, but for me, I usually save it. I will create all the rest of the report myself. And then for the key executive summary, I will give AI a template, and then it will help me summarize a good executive summary. So yeah, we have go through all the steps, and we also talked about the model, how to think how much AI I want to involve in my process. Now just a practice, when to use synthetic users. I'm not sure everyone has, probably most of people have heard about synthetic users. So that is when this tool that AI can help you create a fake user. It can be based on the market data, or you can also build your own personal rag. So you can feed your maybe previous user data, user interview into the tool, and then it will create a fake user for you. So when to use synthetic users? So because it's a when question, I'll pull up this model again. So yeah, because it's synthetic user, it's very AI heavy. So look at the right side of the model. So if it's in the research, if it's early exploration, you're just exploring early ideas. And I think ongoing tracking is not applied here. But yeah, if it's a well-defined problem, you clearly know what research questions you are trying to answer. And then if it's a very low risk, low impact, low frequency, non-critical area, and also because you have a very tight timeline, you don't have time to talk to real user, but you really want to check some information. And then representative structured data, I think it's not applied here. But yeah, if it's general user, there's no underserved user here that you are trying to answer, then I would say consider using synthetic user. But like how to use synthetic user in short. So don't think about, it's not a replacement for user interviews. It's different from user interview. For me, I see it as interactive personas, an upgrade of traditional personas. So it's good that, again, for like not validate, sorry, to explore ideas and for early stage. And it's better than the old personas because it contain more information, contain more data, and then you can actually interact with it, and it can answer your questions. And yeah, it contains more information. So we're almost at time. So I have three key takeaways that I want to re-highlight. So first is AI is a powerful tool. So it doesn't matter. I think what matters is how you use it and when you use it, rather than if you use AI or not. And then, yeah, we all know always keep human in the loop. So even for AI heavy approach, we still have human review, human validate everything. And then lastly, adjust AI involvement using the safety model. So yeah, dial up, down AI based on stage, ambiguity, frequency and risk, time pressure, evidence quality, and the type of your users. So yeah, that's everything.